Castles are some of the most popular historic sites on the planet, and they exert a powerful hold on our imagination. With so many impressive castles around the world, it is very hard to make a list of the top 20. Our list of the world's top 20 most beautiful castles is not something we've made up. It is based on visitors who have rated their favorite castles on our website. So, if you find a castle extremely attractive, just visit our site to rate it. Hopefully, if it hasn't already, it will make our top the next time. You will find the links and details in the description. Now that you understand how our top was created, let's explore 20 amazing castles and their fascinating stories. Chillon Castle is Switzerland's most visited historic monument and one of the best preserved medieval castles in Europe. Unlike other medieval castles in Europe, Chillon has never been destroyed or ruined. The castle stands on an island on Lake Geneva, in the heart of the Swiss Alps. Chillon Castle was the domain of the powerful Counts of Savoy for more than 400 years. It later became a source of inspiration for writers and poets throughout the 18th and 19th centuries. What makes Chillon Castle special is the way it is moulded with the oval shape of the rocky island on which it was built. The castle's underground rooms are probably the part of the castle that has sparked the most imagination. Countless legends began their stories here. Perhaps the most popular among them was Lord Byron's poem, The Prisoner of Chillon, about the life of the famous Catholic monk François Bonivard, imprisoned there for 6 years. Standing as one of Switzerland's most iconic landmarks, Chillon Castle whispers the stories of the past while showcasing the beauty of the present. Dover Castle has been described as the key to England due to its defensive significance throughout history. From a height of 120 meters, it looks over the English Channel at the crossing's narrowest point. One of the largest castles in England, Dover Castle features massive defences topped with medieval walls, towers and networks of tunnels beneath. Still standing at the site, a lighthouse built by the Romans soon after their conquest. It is claimed to be Britain's oldest standing building. Most of the castle we see today was established by Henry II. He spent lavishly creating the most advanced castle design in Europe at Dover. It remained important under the Tudors, with Henry VIII building artillery forts in Dover and Elizabeth I exploiting the castle's position during the war with Spain. The castle played a critical strategic role during the Napoleonic Wars and later during the First World War. In the Second World War, 2 new levels of tunnels were built. Dover Castle was used as naval headquarters and played a central part in Operation Dynamo, with the evacuation of British and Allied troops from Dunkirk. Dover Castle is more than just a building. Its strategic position has made it one of the most valuable defensive fortresses in the country's history. The Gravensteen is the only remaining medieval castle with a moat and a largely intact defence system in Flanders. It is an imposing structure with a large central keep surrounded by a fortified oval-shaped curtain wall lined with 24 small turrets. The Gravensteen dates from the 12th century and was the residence of the Counts of Flanders for nearly 200 years. For this reason, it is also known as the Castle of the Counts. The fortress's structure reminds us of the famous Crusader castle, Crac des Chevaliers, in northern Syria. It is likely that Philip of Alsace, who fought in the Second Crusade, drew some inspiration from it when he built the castle in 1180. From the 14th century, the Castle of the Counts became the focal point of justice in Flanders. As well as being a law court, the castle was also a prison. The underground dungeons were the most feared, as was the torture. A significant restoration project occurred at the start of the 20th century to bring the castle back to its original appearance. The newly restored Gravensteen was the centerpiece of the Ghent World Fair of 1913. Today, the Gravensteen stands not only as a monument to medieval power, but also as a symbol of Ghent's rich history. Bodiam Castle is one of the most picturesque and beloved castles in Great Britain. Often portrayed as the perfect English castle, Bodiam represents the popular ideal of a medieval castle. The castle was built in 1385 by Sir Edward Dalingrig, a former knight of King Edward III, with the apparent idea to defend the area against French invasions during the 100 Years' War. However, it is not clear whether the castle was truly built for military strength or just as a romantic palace designed to evoke the ideas of grandeur and prestige. Bodiam's large moat had the effect of making the castle appear more impressive and is often regarded more as an ornamental feature than a defense. Other elements of the castle were intentionally designed to create the illusion that the building is more imposing than it actually is. This illusion becomes obvious when entering the castle. The inside is much smaller than one can imagine from its outer appearance. Although the castle's interior is in ruins, enough survived to give an impression of castle life. After being left as a picturesque ruin for more than 200 years, Bodiam Castle was finally restored by Lord Curzon, who donated it to the National Trust in 1925. Bodiam Castle is an amazing tourist attraction as it looks almost too romantic to be true. Edinburgh Castle is a symbol of Edinburgh and Scotland, and one of the oldest fortified places in Europe. Known as the Defender of the Nation, Edinburgh Castle has a long and rich history as a royal residence, military garrison, prison, and the home of the Scottish Crown Jewels. With more than 26 sieges in its long history, the castle is the most besieged site in Britain and one of the most attacked places in the world. The castle defences have evolved over hundreds of years. Mons Meg, one of the greatest medieval cannons ever made, was presented to King James II in 1457. King James VI, who united the English and Scottish crowns, was born here in 1566. As a formidable fortress, the castle was the most secure prison in Scotland in the late 18th century. Today, Edinburgh Castle is a major tourist attraction featuring many magnificent highlights such as the impressive Great Hall with its superb hammer beam roof, the Honours of Scotland, the oldest crown jewels in Britain, the Half Moon Battery, which gives the castle its distinct profile, or St Margaret's Chapel, the oldest building in Edinburgh. No trip to Scotland's capital is complete without a visit to Edinburgh Castle. It's an iconic part of British history and a World Heritage Site. The Castle of Fougeres is the largest medieval fortress in Europe. Flanked by 13 towers over an area of 2 hectares, this medieval complex is one of the most imposing French castles. In the Middle Ages, Fougeres was a strategic defense location for the Duchy of Brittany, aimed at preventing incursions into Brittany by its powerful neighbours. To the north, Normandy belonged to the kings of England, who were eager to expand over the continent. To the east, Anjou and Maine were under the control of the kings of France, who were looking to dominate the entire kingdom. Over the course of 5 centuries, the castle lay at the heart of an intense power struggle. Through countless battles, the castle was continually improved using the most advanced techniques of each era. In 1532, Claude of Brittany married King François I of France, putting an end to centuries of battles and struggle. With the duchy now belonging to the Kingdom of France, the fortress lost its strategic interest. For the next 300 years, the castle was used for various purposes, serving as a prison, pleasure garden, and even a shoe factory. Today, Château de Fougeres has been fully restored, making it an ideal place to learn about the Middle Ages. Walzin Castle is one of the most attractive castles in Belgium. Perched on top of high cliffs and surrounded by nothing but nature, this hidden gem truly knows how to capture the imagination. Initially built in the 13th century to serve as a surveillance post, the castle had experienced periods of decline and prosperity and had been renovated several times throughout history in various styles. Extensive restorations were carried out in 1850. The castle in that version is featured on many postcards and drawings from the Belle Époque. Victor Hugo was so inspired by the structure that he made a drawing of it in 1863. In 1930, Baron Frederick Brugmann de Walzin had the castle rebuilt again, giving it its current well-known appearance. Today, Walzin Castle is privately owned and not open to the public. While it may seem like a drawback, visitors are left with nothing but an enchanting and mysterious castle surrounded by forests and protected by the cliffs along the River Lesser. Although little known a few years ago, Château de Walzin is now a popular hotspot and a truly worthwhile experience. The castle of Haut-Koenigsbourg is an accurate image of what a mountain fortress looked like in the Middle Ages. Situated in the Vosges Mountains high above the upper Rhine Valley, it's the only medieval castle in the region that has been fully restored. Since it was first documented in 1147, the castle has been used by successive powers for over 500 years. During the 30 Years' War, the building was burnt to the ground by Swedish forces, and it was left abandoned for over 200 years. Following the Franco-Prussian War of 1871, Alsace was annexed to Germany, and the castle was eventually granted to the German Emperor Wilhelm II. Regarding the castle as a symbol of German dominance in the region, the Kaiser decided to carry out a complete restoration of the castle. The restoration followed a close study of the remaining walls, archives, and other fortified castles built during the same period. After World War I, the French state took over the castle by the Treaty of Versailles. The towers and walls provide a strong reason why the castle possessed all the assets of an imposing medieval fortress. Today, the castle of Haut-Koenigsbourg is a major tourist attraction, a symbol of Alsatian heritage, and a witness to the course of European history. Neuschwanstein Castle is a masterpiece of Romanesque revival architecture and one of Europe's most popular destinations. Nestled amidst the Bavarian Alps, the castle seems straight out of a fairy tale. Its towering spires and dramatic setting have captivated hearts and imaginations for over a century. The castle was commissioned by King Ludwig II of Bavaria as a tribute to Richard Wagner and a personal retreat from public life. The building of Neuschwanstein proved to be a monumental task, requiring immense resources and dedication. Sadly, Ludwig would not live to see his dream fully accomplished, as it was never finished completely. Neuschwanstein's exterior is a stunning example of romantic architecture. Every detail, from the arched windows to the carved stonework, speaks to the meticulous craftsmanship of the era. The castle's design is a blend of historical styles, creating a sense of timeless beauty that transcends specific architectural periods. Inside, elaborate wood carvings adorn the walls and ceilings, and lavish murals depict episodes from Wagner's operas, as well as scenes from medieval legends. From its terraces, the castle commands breathtaking views. Neuschwanstein is a symbol of the permanent power of art and architecture. Its timeless elegance and romanticism continue to captivate hearts and minds. The Tower of London is a world-famous monument and one of England's most iconic structures. The tower has served as a royal palace, a notorious prison and place of execution, the home of the Royal Mint, a treasury, and the home of the crown jewels of England. The White Tower, which gives the entire castle its name, was built by William the Conqueror in 1078 on the banks of the River Thames. It is an outstanding example of medieval military architecture and the most complete 11th century fortress palace remaining in Europe. A grand palace early in its history, the tower has played a prominent role in English history. It was besieged several times, and controlling it has been essential to controlling the country. In its extensive history, the tower's defences failed only once. During the Peasants' Revolt of 1381, rebels ran in through the open gates. The castle has been the setting for key historical events, including the imprisonment of 4 English queens, 3 of them executed. The Tower of London is one of the country's most popular tourist attractions, drawing visitors from all over the world. Under the ceremonial charge of the Constable of the Tower, this historic castle is protected as a World Heritage Site. The Castle of Fontainebleau is one of the biggest royal palaces in France, serving as a royal residence for 8 centuries. Kings and queens, emperors and empresses have all striven to enhance the chateau, making it an outstanding testimony of history and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Initially built to serve as a hunting lodge, the original medieval fortress was replaced by a Renaissance palace under the guiding hand of King François I. King Louis XIV, Catherine de' Medici, Marie Antoinette and Napoleon Bonaparte have all lived within these walls, transforming the chateau into a huge palace where many significant historical events have been played out. The horseshoe staircase is one of the castle's emblematic icons. It was the scene of Napoleon's famous farewell to his guard in April 1814 before leaving for his exile on the island of Elba. Fontainebleau is one of the most furnished palaces in Europe, with more than 40,000 works of art and some of the most splendid spaces in France. The palace sits on a vast estate spread across 4 main courtyards, 3 gardens and a park. The remarkable Grand Parterre is the largest formal garden in Europe, reflecting Louis XIV's desire for open spaces. The true home of kings, House of Centuries, as Napoleon liked to call it, Château de Fontainebleau, is a key part of French history, reflecting the lives of its greatest sovereigns. The Castle of Chenonceau is a marvel of French architecture that boasts a 5-arched bridge spanning the River Cher. Nicknamed the Ladies' Château, the history of this castle is defined by an almost uninterrupted succession of women who built, adorned and protected it. King Henry II offered the castle as a gift to his beloved mistress Diane de Poitiers, who became deeply attached to it. She commissioned one of the great masters of French Renaissance architecture to build the arched bridge, joining the Château to its opposite bank. After King Henry II died, his widow and powerful regent, Catherine de' Medici, forced Diane out of the Château and made it her own favorite residence. She spent a fortune on extensive restorations, a new series of gardens, and spectacular nighttime parties. After Catherine died, the castle passed through the hands of various owners, each leaving their mark on this remarkable château. Chenonceau features a magnificent interior, with the Grand Gallery being one of its main highlights. The castle is home to an exceptional collection of furniture, tapestries and paintings, many of them signed by some of the greatest European artists. The gardens of Chenonceau are famous for their beauty, elegant design and refinement. Château de Chenonceau is one of the most picturesque castles in the world and the second most visited palace in France. Alhambra is one of Spain's major tourist attractions, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the inspiration for countless songs and stories. It is regarded as one of the most magnificent palace complexes in the world and the finest example of Moorish architecture in Spain. The vast palace compound developed gradually through additions and modifications made during both the Muslim and Christian periods. The Muslim structures we see today were built during the Nasrid dynasty, which ruled the Emirate of Granada for over 2 centuries. After the conclusion of the Christian Reconquista in 1492, the location became the royal court of Ferdinand and Isabella. Christopher Columbus received royal endorsement for his expedition here. The most significant extension during the Christian period was the palace commissioned by Emperor Charles V in 1527. After falling into disrepair for centuries, Alhambra was rediscovered by European romantic travelers, poets and writers at the beginning of the 19th century. Often described as a pearl set in emerald, Alhambra is a remarkable example of how history, art and culture can come together to create something unforgettable. A place that continues to captivate and inspire visitors from around the world. The Castle of Chambord is the largest castle in the Loire Valley and one of the most recognizable châteaux in the world because of its unique architecture. This renowned French castle sits in a vast 5,500-hectare park, the largest enclosed park in Europe. In 1519, the young King François I ordered its construction to use it as a hunting lodge. The plan of the castle and its decorations are designed around a central axis, the famous double revolution staircase inspired by Leonardo da Vinci. The edifice was a monumental architectural work that François liked to show off as a symbol of his wealth and power. The château's most remarkable feature is the spectacular double spiral staircase, which continues to fascinate visitors due to the dramatic staging it provides. When two people use the opposite staircases at the same time, they can see each other through the openings but never cross paths. The building features more than 800 sculpted columns and an elaborately decorated roof with 11 kinds of towers and 3 types of chimneys. Although the castle was never meant to be permanently inhabited, it still houses a substantial collection of paintings, furniture and art objects, as well as one of the most beautiful tapestry collections in France. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Castle of Chambord is a captivating masterpiece that seamlessly blends traditional French medieval architecture with the refined elegance of Renaissance design. The Haar Castle is the largest and most luxurious castle in the Netherlands, and perhaps one of the most beautiful yet often overlooked castles in Europe. Few Dutch castles can equal De Haar for its ideal image of a medieval fortress with towers and ramparts, moats, gates and drawbridges. The current building was constructed in 1892 by Baron Etienne van Zuylen upon the foundations of the original castle. The Baron, who inherited the impressive ruins of De Haar, had always fantasized about rebuilding the castle. Luckily for him, his marriage to Baroness Helene de Rothschild, a member of the extremely wealthy de Rothschild family, enabled him to make his fantasy come true. The project was supervised by the renowned architect Pierre Cuypers and took 20 years to complete. When it was finished, the edifice had 200 rooms and 30 bathrooms, and it was equipped with the most modern facilities. De Haar boasts a striking exterior with towers and ramparts and a luxurious interior adorned with richly ornamented wood carvings. The main hall is a unique space in the Netherlands, featuring an 18-metre-high wooden vault, half-Gothic cathedral and a half-luxurious hotel lobby. To make space for the park that surrounds the castle, an entire village had to be torn down and rebuilt a kilometre away. Castle de Haar ranks among the most visited museums in the Netherlands and is an impressive destination that harmoniously combines modern restoration with historic grandeur. The Alcazar of Segovia is one of the most renowned medieval castles in the world and a major landmark in Spain. With a distinctive shape, like the bow of a ship, the fortress stands on a rocky crag, offering breathtaking views. The Alcazar served both as a royal palace and a fortress for the Castilian monarchs, and it was home to 22 kings. However, throughout its long history, the building also served as a state prison, a royal artillery college, a large chemistry laboratory, and a military academy. The castle has been the stage for crucial events in Spain's history, including the proclamation of Queen Isabella, one of the most significant and influential women in history. The building's design reflects majesty and grandeur, emphasizing the authority of the kings of Castile. The interior boasts luxury and opulence, featuring lavishly decorated rooms and coffered ceilings. The Hall of the Kings is one of the most spectacular spaces. It features 52 intricate raised portraits of various kings of Castile, forming an elaborate golden-plated frieze that encircles the upper part of the room. The Tower of Juan II, the throne room and the Hall of the Galley are other emblematic highlights. Rising like a fairy-tale castle atop a rocky cliff, it is believed that this fortress was the inspiration behind Cinderella's castle in Walt Disney World. Pena Palace is one of the world's most magnificent palaces and an outstanding example of 19th century Romanticism in Europe. Perched high above a landscape of verdant hills and sparkling coastline, the palace was intended as a summer retreat for the Portuguese royal family. The building was commissioned by King Ferdinand of Portugal, a highly cultured individual who gained national recognition as the king artist. His idea was to transform the remains of an old monastery into a romantic masterpiece. With its vibrant yellow and red facades, the palace combines elements from various architectural styles, creating a striking and unexpected visual experience. There is a vast view from its terraces, ranging from the ocean in the distance on one side to the city of Lisbon looking eastwards. The interior is equally fascinating as the exterior, with opulent furnishings, intricate frescoes and dazzling stained glass windows. The exotic taste of Romanticism also influenced the park's design, where the king planted tree species from every continent. Amidst the lush vegetation, one can find cascading waterfalls and exotic plants, as well as a maze-like system of paths that lead to various points of interest throughout the grounds. A UNESCO World Heritage Site and one of the Seven Wonders of Portugal, Pena Palace is a unique window into Portugal's royal and cultural legacy and one of the finest tourist attractions in Europe. Windsor Castle is the oldest and largest occupied castle in the world. Founded by William the Conqueror in the 11th century, it has served as a royal palace and fortress for over 900 years. Originally, the castle was built as a motte and bailey, with 3 wards surrounding a central keep. It was Edward III who left the greatest impression on Windsor in the 14th century. He spent £50,000 in the process, more than any other medieval English king spent on a single building. The monarch most closely associated with the castle's appearance today is George IV. He furnished the state apartments in a grand manner and added his own private living quarters, which are among the most richly decorated interiors in the palace. During the First World War, the historic estate inspired the naming of the Royal House of Windsor, the current reigning house of the United Kingdom. Today, nearly 1.5 million people visit the place each year, enjoying its history, imposing design, and spectacular highlights. The state apartments are among the most exquisite interiors in England, furnished with some of the finest works of art from the royal collection. They include some magnificent spaces such as the Grand Reception Room and the Waterloo Chamber. St George's Hall is a grand ceremonial hall that has been the venue for many significant events over the centuries. On the outside, visitors can admire the Round Tower, which is the castle's most distinctive feature. Windsor Castle stands as a majestic symbol of British royalty, where centuries of history meet timeless glory. Bamburgh Castle has stood guard above the spectacular Northumberland coastline for over 1,400 years. In its extensive history, it has evolved from an Anglo-Saxon citadel to an impenetrable Norman fortress, ultimately becoming a grand castle that served as a royal palace for successive kings. In legend, Bamburgh was the formidable fortress of Sir Lancelot, paladin of the Round Table and the greatest of King Arthur's champions. The original stronghold was established in the 4th century by the first of the Anglo-Saxon kings of Bernicia. At the end of the 10th century, the Normans took control and began building a new structure on the site, which forms the core of the current one. The mighty keep was completed in 1164 during the reign of Henry II. It remains the heart of the castle to this day. Due to its close proximity to Scotland, Bamburgh developed into a strategic English outpost for the crown and served as a palace for English monarchs over the coming centuries. After the union of the English and Scottish crowns in 1603, the defensive era of the fortress came to an end. In 1894, Bamburgh Castle was bought by William Armstrong, an engineer, inventor and armaments magnate. He invested over £1 million to fully restore the castle, transforming it into the formidable fortress it once was during the Middle Ages. The Citadel of Carcassonne is one of the largest and best preserved citadels in the world and Europe's most formidable fortified complex. With over 2,500 years of history, this vast fortress is renowned for its impressive double surrounding walls that stretch 3 kilometers and feature 52 towers. With its castle and ramparts, the city seems straight out of a medieval fantasy tale, displaying an outstanding example of a Middle Ages fortified town. The history of Carcassonne dates back over 2,500 years to a Gaulish settlement. Throughout its long and turbulent history, Carcassonne was occupied successively by the Romans, Visigoths, Muslims, and Franks. It later became one of the central points of Catharism and, as a result, was besieged and defeated during the Albigensian Crusade. As part of the French royal domain, it evolved into an impregnable fortress. After a period of decline, the citadel was finally restored to its former splendor after an immense restoration project, and it was added to the UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites in 1997. There are many amazing highlights to discover in this fantastic fortified compound. These include the double walls with their 52 towers, one of the key features of the citadel. The majestic Château Comtal, a vestige of feudal then royal power. The Saint-Nazaire Basilica with its flamboyant stained glass windows. Or the monumental Porte Narbonnaise, the main gate into the city. Cité de Carcassonne stands not just as a majestic fortress, but as a timeless gateway to the medieval soul of France, preserving centuries of history within its walls for all who wander through. This is our top 10 most beautiful castles in the world based on visitors' ratings. Don't forget to visit our website and rate your favorite castle. Thank you for watching our video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe to our channel and join us in our other videos.